History will be made live.
This is where New York turns for answers.
Election night on ABC7.
ABC News and Eyewitness News continuing coverage.
Why are mornings the best on Channel 7?
Because it starts with Eyewitness News this morning.
Breaking news, AccuWeather, and traffic.
Then we pass things off to our friends at GMA.
Followed by Live with Kelly and Mark.
We toss it back to us for Eyewitness News mornings at 10.
Before today's hot topics on The View.
And we take it from there.
With Eyewitness News at noon, it's the best morning every morning.
Right here on Channel 7.
$303 Mega Million jackpot. Live drawing tonight at 11.
Tonight, ABC News live election night coverage right here. It is now 7 p.m. here in the East. Polls have just closed in 6 states tonight, including the all-important battleground state of Georgia. 16 electoral votes up for grabs. The polls have just closed there. The moment those numbers start coming in, we'll go right back to the board here. In the meantime, here are the numbers we can report at this hour. Let's take a look. The first state in tonight, Kentucky. The winner, former President Donald Trump. He picks up 8 electoral votes. A solidly Republican state. Trump won there in 2020. In Vermont tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris's first win, 3 electoral votes in the state of Vermont. In Indiana, the polls have closed. Still too early. The numbers coming in. Donald Trump with a sizable lead there. 11 electoral votes on the line. South Carolina, 9 electoral votes. Still not enough information to call the race. And in Virginia, likely Democrat, lean Democrat. 13 electoral votes up for grabs. We're watching this race closely. The polls have just closed. Obviously, no numbers coming in there as of yet. We will go right back as soon as we see. Our coverage of this high-stakes 2024 presidential election starts right now.
This is an ABC News special. The time has finally come. Right now, all across America, votes are being counted. Who will be your next president?
I pledge to be a president for all Americans.
Our country will be greater than ever before.
On this historic night with the stakes so high.
When we fight, we win.
We will make America great again.
Live from ABC News election headquarters in New York City. Now reporting, David Muir.
Good evening. It is great to have you with us here at ABC News Election Night headquarters in New York City. We are all here on what may be one of the most consequential election nights of recent history, with so much at stake in this race for president. Every major issue a top priority for tens of millions of American voters, from the economy to abortion rights to immigration to border security to democracy. Democrats, Republicans, and independents arguing the fate of this country, the future of American democracy, is on the line tonight. At this hour, millions of voters across the country are still lined up at their polling centers in what's been an unprecedented campaign, highlighting the major differences in a deeply divided America. 86 million Americans, Democrats, Republicans, independents, already casting ballots before today, either in person or by mail. Let's go right to the map tonight. The polls still open across most of the country just after 7 p.m. As I mentioned here in the East, polls are now closed in those 6 states, including the critical Georgia battleground won by President Biden in 2020 by about 11,000 votes. Here's where we start tonight. Donald Trump with 8 electoral votes, Kamala Harris with 3. There are 7 states you're going to hear a lot about over and over again tonight, our battleground states, the 7 states that will likely decide the Electoral College. Based on polling over the past several weeks leading right up to election night, they are all extremely close as we begin to count the votes across this country. The Democrats in the so-called blue wall of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, they're trying to hold on to that tonight. In the Southeast, Georgia and North Carolina, and in the Southwest, all eyes on Arizona and Nevada. And of course, here is the magic number we'll be talking about all night here, perhaps for days. 270, the number of electoral votes needed to win the presidency. And it's not just about the White House being at stake tonight. Control of Congress also on the line. Take a look. The Senate right now, as you know, where Democrats are in control of the Senate. Currently, they have narrow control, 34 seats in play tonight. Republicans need to pick up just 2 seats to take back a majority and control. Of course, only 1 seat if Donald Trump wins. The vice president would then have a vote. In the House, it's the Republicans currently control all 435 seats up for grabs. Democrats tonight, remember this number, they need just 4 seats to flip the House. Can either party pull this off tonight? And a reminder, we may not be able to project a winner tonight in the presidential race. Of course, that's okay. okay. We're used to that in this country. It doesn't mean there's a problem. It just means the ballots are still being counted in what is already expected to be a very close election. Our powerhouse political team is here to break this down. They're all in the room with me tonight. Lindsay Davis here at the desk, Martha Raddatz, Mary Bruce, John Carl, Rachel Scott, Rick Klein over at the big board, and all of our experts here. Terry Moran, our analyst, Pierre Thomas, Aaron Petersky, our legal team standing by too should anything come up over the course of the night. Take a look across the country tonight, fanned out in all the battleground states. Our team tracking all of the key races for you. We're going to be with you all night. We'll be here for several nights if that's what it takes as these results come in. Lindsay Davis, the first results come in from these exit polls, which are very revealing about what might be driving voters. I know this is early. These are preliminary exit polls, but what do they show so far?
Sure, and very interesting when you're thinking about what motivated voters as they mark their ballots. It may come as a surprise to some. Take a look. Number one issue, state of democracy. Now, why this is a bit surprising is, David, as you know, for months, the polls have suggested in recent weeks and months that the economy was the number one issue. But here we see the economy, the second place issue here. Now, it's too early to know the impact of that, but it is certainly significant to note. Followed by abortion, then immigration, and a distant fifth, foreign policy. Now, when we talk about democracy in the United States being on the line, look at this, a whopping 73%. We're talking about 3/4 nearly of those registered voters, again, in preliminary exit polls, these numbers could change, but 73% saying that they feel democracy in this country is threatened. Now, that can cut both ways because, of course, this has been the closing argument for Kamala Harris in recent rallies, saying democracy is on the line. But Donald Trump has been suggesting the same, obviously, for different reasons. Also significant to point out, favorability. Donald Trump underwater by 10 points here. You see unfavorability rating for him, 54%, only 44% favorable. While on the flip side, Kamala Harris only underwater by 2 points with a 50% unfavorability, 48% favorable. Now, favorability does not a president make. Just ask Hillary Clinton. 2016, she actually had a higher favorability rating than Donald Trump. And we know how that ended.
It's so interesting that those first early results show that democracy and the state of affairs in this country ranks number one. Again, preliminary exit polls. I want to head over to the big board. Rachel Scott, Rick Klein are going to be at these boards all night long. And if I remember 4 years ago, I think you guys were around until Saturday. But I don't want to freak you out just yet. But Rick, I want to talk about this because we have early vote numbers. Obviously, Republicans and Democrats had significant early vote. I've been obsessed because I've talked to you about this being obviously Kamala Harris's quickest path to 270, right through the Rust Belt. She holds the narrowest of margins in the early vote. She will still need a major turnout on Election Day. The Trump campaign very aware of that. They're expecting a major turnout today as well. If she's not able to pull off this Rust Belt, this sweep of these three states, how do you get there if you're a Kamala Harris?
Yeah, that is the most straightforward path. You're right. There are